If there was just one thing I wish I got into sooner when I first started photography, it would be these things: photography books. They've really been transformative in my own photography journey, inspiring me, helping advance my skills, and just pushing me to experiment in ways social media just never could have. There's just something special when photos are presented like this in books, sometimes with context and stories, but sometimes without. Regardless, it always adds so much more depth than just scrolling online. So if you're looking for street photography book recommendations to inspire and really elevate your own work, I've picked a real diverse mix here. Two from pioneering street photographers I really admire, one that delves more into the process behind some of the world's greatest photos, and then two more practical ones to help guide you in the right direction. So let's jump in. So I'm starting with a book that I think is really extraordinary, and it features a diverse range of some really famous images, but it offers so much more than that. It gives an incredible deep dive into the process behind some of these most iconic photos ever captured. It's called Magnum Contact Sheets. And as the name suggests, it gives us a rare look at the actual contact sheets from legendary photojournalists and documentary photographers from 1930 to 2010. By examining these sheets before and after the final selected image, we gain invaluable insights, almost like being there and being able to look over the photographer's shoulder as they're making decisions about framing, compositions, timing, and really working a scene. Also providing a real masterclass on image selection and the art of anticipating that perfect moment. For anyone serious about street photography, this book is a great learning tool. While it covers more than just street photography, it's still a must-have for anyone looking to refine their craft. If you're interested in improving any of these skills like composition, image selection, working a scene, and seeking out that right moment, this really is an incredible resource and an incredibly unique photo book. Next up, a book from photographer Ernst Haas, a pioneer of both color and street photography. Known for his real innovative and dynamic approach, his street photography fascinates me, and he's really known for blurring the line between documentary and fine art photography, something we can all learn from by not always confiding to set norms or rules that some genres might provide. Haas, an Austrian-American photographer, first gained recognition in the late 1940s for his black and white images of post-war Europe. This compelling documentation was full of emotion, and I can highly recommend studying in more detail. His later work in New York, although totally different, is equally as compelling for its own reasons, and that's what this book covers. Ernst Haas, New York in Color, from 1952 to 1962. What I love about this book, especially in the context of improving your street photography, is not just his incredible use of color, but the way he's able to incorporate motion into his images, and also the real subjective nature to his work. I always feel he doesn't place any specific ideas or beliefs onto the viewer, but despite this, they still have the power to really evoke genuine emotion, with this really poetic quality to them. In today's world, I find it really common to see people really pushing their own ideas on what street photography should or shouldn't be. So I really admire how Haas was able to blend these worlds of art and journalism without worrying too much about these labels or strict definitions too much. Beyond this book, I think it's valuable to study photographers like Haas and observe how their work evolves over time. Just as your own work should, this evolution is a really essential part of the photography journey, and I believe it should be embraced. I find this book incredibly inspiring, not just for the striking imagery, but also for encouraging me to really pursue a style of photography that really resonates with me. It pushes me to focus beyond traditional genres, focusing less on labels or what others might expect, and more on what I personally enjoy capturing. So I actually discovered this next one at a museum in London, and I was intrigued to later check it out. It's The Street Photographer's Manual by David Gibson. This book focuses more on techniques rather than exploring deeper artistic philosophy, although you will still find inspiring images from various photographers scattered throughout. While it is much more geared towards beginners, I found it both interesting and really practical, offering a range of tips and advice for those who may find it difficult getting started with street photography. I actually referenced this book a while ago when I scripted this video on different street photography techniques. Thankfully, quite a few of you enjoyed that one, so if you're interested in some really practical tips, be sure to check that one out as well. It is a really simple and straightforward book, so it's really easy to digest, making it a great resource for anyone looking for these practical tips on improving their street photography and experimenting with different approaches. Any I've missed so far, I'm always hoping to expand my collection and knowledge, so if you have any suggestions, please drop them down in the comments, and hopefully I'll be able to check them out. So, moving on to number 4, and another real pioneer in the field of both color and street photography. One of my favorite photographers, so I really couldn't create this list without including at least one from the great Sol Leiter. This one, Sol Leiter, the Centennial Retrospective. Honestly, he has a number of great books, and I've managed to view a few in different stores and libraries over the years, so I can recommend any of those, but this is the only one I currently own. Leiter is a photographer I've always admired, but not just for his images, also for his overall approach to photography, especially street photography. And what fascinates me most about his work is, at the time, street photography really wasn't what he was even known for. He had quite a successful career as a fashion photographer, but his street photography seems much more about self-expression, capturing what he was really drawn to, not just for work or for fame, but out of pure passion. It's remarkable to consider that his street photography was pretty overlooked and rarely seen until much, much later in his life, which truly shows to me the real passion behind it. Leiter's style, you can see, often involved using reflections, windows, rain-slick streets to create abstract compositions that really blurred the lines between realism and abstraction, which was drawn from his inspiration and paintings, providing so many valuable lessons for anyone studying street photography. The reason I've included this particular book is because it covers so many different aspects of his life and work: his painting, his fashion photography, his black and white work, and of course, his poetically beautiful, painting-like style of color street photography. It really highlights how artistic influences shaped his own unique perspective of the world, and how a unique vision like this of everyday life can still have such an emotional depth to it. I believe as a street photographer studying this book, we can learn to see ordinary things in quite extraordinary ways, expanding our creative vision and overall approach to street photography, as well as providing a real masterclass on things like composition and negative space. His lessons go far beyond these simple photography rules. I believe his work, much like Hass's, really emphasizes how color is not just an unnecessary add-on, but a central element to evoking emotion in photography. To finish here, a book that has really helped shape my own photography journey, and one that isn't just aimed purely at street photography, but a real practical guide to anyone who wants to ignite their photography passion. Like most forms of photography, to me, the real spark to becoming great at street photography is passion, and this book specifically provides actionable steps to really ignite that spark and improve your photography. This is The Passionate Photographer, Dream It, Be It, a proven 10-step plan for success by Steve Simon, and this is the second edition. If you really are passionate about improving both your skills and your mindset as a photographer, honestly, it's a fantastic read. I found this one particularly beneficial for those who want to find their own voice in photography and get more emotionally connected to their own work, which honestly, I think is so much harder now with such a focus on social media and just following specific trends. Again, for anyone looking for more actionable steps, as opposed to just studying the work of others, this might be more up your alley, which is why I've tried to include a few different options like this. So a pretty varied list this time. These options hopefully provide different places to start for different people, as photo books aren't always cheap. But remember, if you're serious about your photography, I think they are always a worthwhile investment. I hope you enjoyed this one. Thanks so much for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.